I want us to stop. I want to circle this word.
Betrayed.
Because it's frightening.
Betrayed the Department of Justice.
To suggest that someone acting as a conscientious objector to a law that has divided this country would be termed as someone who has, quote, betrayed the Justice Department. The incompetence, and people say, why are you picking on Stephen Miller? Because Stephen Miller drafted it, and he was the one that made the decision to keep the agency heads out of it. Of course, the buck always stops with Donald Trump, but if we're looking at the architect of this chaos, Donald Trump did what Donald Trump promised he was going to do in the campaign. Stephen Miller drafted something that was, and didn't talk to the other agency heads, that, Mika, has caused an absolute, not meltdown, but war of words behind the scenes with Donald Trump's foreign policy team, who has been left in the dark.
There's more reporting this morning that top lawmakers and top cabinet members were left in the dark as the travel ban, the executive order, was being developed, written, and rolled out. Think about that. The Associated Press reports at least 3 top national security officials, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, and Rex Tillerson have told associates they were not aware of details of the directives until around the time Trump signed it. Leading intelligence officials were also left largely in the dark. According to U.S. officials, the report goes on, quote, Mattis, who stood next to Trump during Friday's signing ceremony, is said to be particularly incensed. A senior U.S. official said Mattis, along with Joint Chiefs Chairman Joseph Dunford, was aware of the general concept of Trump's order, but not the details. Tillerson has told the president's political advisors that he was baffled over not being consulted on the substance of the order.
Keeping this closely held because they didn't want to tip off terrorists who would then come to the country. I'm just wondering, what exactly is in General James Mattis's background that concerned Stephen Miller so much that he felt the need to keep our Secretary of Defense in the dark to the details? I'm wondering what exactly is in General John Kelly's background and service to this country in war and peace that made Stephen Miller think that that general, who has given his all for this country, who has given a son for this country, should be left in the dark about an executive order that actually impacts Homeland Security, impacts our fight against terror. What exactly was in Mike Pompeo's background? What exactly was in Rex Tillerson's background that made Stephen Miller think he could not trust these men to give them the information that they needed to actually implement this in a way that didn't embarrass the United States and this administration in the eyes of the world? What was it, Willie? When Stephen Miller, I'm going to say this, every time Stephen Miller and Sean Spicer and anybody else in the Steve Bannon and anybody else in the administration says, you know what, we had to keep this closely held, because if we didn't, then terrorists would get the word that this was going to happen and they'd come to the United States. What they're saying is, we don't trust. Stephen Miller is saying, and Steve Bannon is saying, we don't trust General Mattis. We don't trust General Kelly. We don't know. No. Of course they think they're knowing better. This is worse. They're saying that General Mattis, General Kelly, Director Pompeo, and Secretary of State designee Rex Tillerson
and General
Dunford, they're saying they could not be trusted. They could not be trusted. Stephen Miller says they could not be trusted. If we want to talk about betrayed, let's talk about betrayed. Well, I got a great list of people who were betrayed. American hero, General James Mattis was betrayed by the Trump administration. Director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, betrayed by the Trump administration. American hero General John Kelly, betrayed by the Trump administration. Chairman Bob Goodlatte, betrayed by the Trump administration, behind his back with his own staffers. Tell you, if somebody on my staff in Congress did that to me, again, I want to say a word I can't say. Their crap would be out in the hall that morning. And I would have, if they tried to get in the office, I would call Capitol Police. I would have them handcuffed and taken off premises. It's unbelievable. Let's see, who else was betrayed? Oh, Chairman Bob Corker, betrayed. All of them betrayed by Stephen Miller, Steve Bannon, and yes, the buck stops with Donald Trump. It's not little Marco anymore, it's little Miller. Little Miller running around thinking actually he's a little Napoleon. And he's thinking that he can cut out generals. Yeah, there, that's him. He thinks that he can't trust General Mattis. This guy that you see on your screen thinks that General Mattis cannot be trusted. This guy you see on your screen thinks General Kelly cannot be trusted. This guy that you see on your screen thinks the director of the CIA cannot be trusted. This guy that you see on your screen thinks that Bob Corker cannot be trusted. The guy you see on the screen thinks Paul Ryan cannot be trusted. Mitch McConnell cannot be trusted. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee cannot be trusted.
He thinks he knows better.
Little Miller, you don't. You just don't. And you have created a storm.